Welcome to the Southern Ohio Farm Show. This is Gigi Neal of OSU Extension in Claremont County, Agricultural and Natural Resources Educator.
I'm James Morris, the Agricultural and Natural Resources and Community Development Educator for the Ohio State University Extension in Brown County.
Hello, my name is Richard Purdin. I'm with the Ohio State University Extension. I am the Ag and Natural Resource Educator for Adams County and the Community Development Educator for Adams County, Ohio.
And I'm Brooke Beam, the Ohio State University Extension Educator for Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Community Development in Highland County. And we will be your hosts for the Southern Ohio Farm Show.
Well, good day, everybody. This is Aaron Wilson, OSU Extension climatologist here for the weather update with the Southern Ohio Farm Show. So certainly spring has sprung out there. The 24th of March, 2021. Beautiful flowers popping up everywhere. Our tree buds are out. Unfortunately, the maple season has come to an end for most of Ohio, if not all of Ohio now, as we start to round our month out and head toward the month of April. Now, over the last 7 days, temperatures have been fairly mild. We've been running anywhere from about 2 or 3 degrees above average to as warm as 9 degrees above average over some locations of the state. Here across our southern counties, it's in that 2 to 5 degree above average over the last 7 days that you can see on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we're showing departures from average over the last 30 days. And after that very cold February, we've really turned things around now. Much warmer than average, like we were back in December and January. We really just had that one cold month, but temperatures have been running anywhere from 2 to 6 degrees above average here across our southern counties over the last 30 days. Looking at the precipitation, we've had a couple of decent systems move through, certainly over the month of March. We had very heavy rainfall across west central Ohio last week, a little bit lighter amounts down here. So we've been close to average over the last 7 days. But over the last 30 days, it has been pretty moist out there. So combined with the snow melt that we saw back in February, with the rainfall that we've seen this month, our conditions in terms of soil conditions out there, moisture is looking pretty good. Now, we've got a pretty soggy week coming up. You know, we've had beautiful temperatures this week, highs really hovering around 70 degrees, plenty of dry air. But a system started moving in last night, and today we still have some showers and thunderstorms around. More so in the morning hours than the afternoon. Things will wane a little bit overnight, and then we'll have another system move into the region for Thursday and Friday. Probably a heavy rainmaker. We're looking anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rainfall across our region here across southern Ohio, and those showers are likely to remain around the region Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday. Temperatures will cool off a little bit, but remain above average in the low to mid 70s for highs and overnight lows in the 40s and the 50s. Beyond that, looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, really taking us through the first 5 days of April, we're looking at a good chance of above average temperatures. Generally, we're running in the upper 50s by this point of the year, with lows in the mid to upper 30s. We should see about an inch of rainfall a week. We're certainly going to get that this week. Next week, as we head from March 30th into April 5th, looks a bit drier, so a chance to dry out so we don't get too soggy ahead of our spring planting conditions. Our April outlooks came out this week. Does look like we're going to see above average temperatures for the month of April, but we've backed off on the rainfall a little bit for the month of April as well. These are from the Climate Prediction Center, looking at equal chance of above, below, or near average precipitation. So no strong signals either way. And then looking at the April through June, our planting season does look like it's going to be above average. That's continuing with our long-term trends, warmer overnight lows and above average temperatures, and still hanging on to elevated probabilities of wet conditions across our region, especially as we head into May and June as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully we'll have plenty of opportunities, plenty of windows to get our spring planting done as we start ever so closely getting to those conditions, despite some of you already getting a head start out there. So as always, please have a great week. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You can reach out to the email address or SCOO's website for more information, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Lisa Barlage, Extension Educator for Family Consumer Science in the Ross County office. And today I'd like to show you a quick recipe for what we call a green monster smoothie. The neat thing about this recipe is that it can be a breakfast, it can be a snack, it can be part of a quick lunch, or it can be something that you serve for some party time. So the first ingredient, of course, to make it green is some spinach. And so I have washed the spinach and pulled out. There's a couple pieces that are just a little bit wilty or slimy. I go ahead and pull those out. I like to pull off any of the big stems. You don't have to do that, but I do like to pull off the really large stems. Otherwise, it's just ready to go. And so we're just going to put 2 cups of spinach in our blender. And then our next ingredient is 1 banana that you have frozen, if you have time. If you don't have time, it can just be fresh banana. This is a great way to use up leftover bananas. You've got bananas that are going to get old or they're starting to get brown. Go ahead and throw them in a bag or a container, put them in your freezer, and they're ready for the next time that you want to make smoothies or banana bread or whatever it is. It actually has grapes in. They're not commonly used in smoothies, but they do work really well in this green monster. So you put those grapes in there. You want to have 1 cup of liquid. I'm going to use a skim or low-fat milk, but you can use almond milk, whatever your preference is. You could even be something like apple juice if you wanted. So we're going to put that in. Then our next ingredient is a container of yogurt. I have picked a low-carb yogurt. It is low in fat, low calories, and the carbohydrates are low if you have somebody in your family that's diabetic or pre-diabetic that's trying to watch that. You could also pick a Greek yogurt. The nice thing about a Greek yogurt is it's going to be a little higher in protein. So if you've got somebody that's trying to build that protein, they might want to pick a Greek version. And then an optional ingredient would be something like half of an avocado. And as we know, a lot of times avocados have some healthy fats in them that are really good for you. So you could go ahead and put that in if you want. If you don't have the grapes that we already put in, you can always use frozen or canned pineapple as an optional choice. That's a cool thing about this. I wanted to show you that we have 2 kinds. We have one heavy syrup. We have one in pineapple juice. And just to note that the one that's in juice is only 70 calories. The one that is in syrup is 110 calories. So if you're trying to cut the calories out, you're going to want to pick the one in juice. And also the carbohydrates are a lot higher. The one that's in juice is only 16 grams of carbs per serving. The one that is in syrup is 26. And of course, most of that is added sugar. So if you're trying to watch that, you always want to pick in juice as a better choice. And then you can use that juice in your smoothie. You can put it into other things that you're making. So we're going to go ahead and put, our choice was our low carb yogurt in, and we're picking a vanilla one. If you have plain yogurt, you can put that in and then just put a little bit of vanilla from your cupboard in. So that's one way to do it. And then if we had all of our fruit pre-frozen, we wouldn't even have to put in much ice, but we're going to put in about a cup of ice. And I can predict that I'm going to have to run this blender a couple times and get down in there because I had stacked all of this on the top of it. This very much depends on your blender and what you did. Like I said, if you would have pre-frozen that fruit, that's something that you can do and put that in a bag or a container, and it can be ready to go in the morning. You can have all those veggies and fruit already together. I'm gonna do one more little quick turnaround. And we have our green monster smoothie. And we're just going to pour that in a cup. And as you can see, you've got a couple servings here. Easily, I would say 3 or 4. And it's a lot healthier choice than those shakes that are popular this time of year that are green, tasty. And if you don't have spinach, you can also use kale. There's a lot of ingredients in here that have antioxidants that are great for you. And also a lot of things that are good for lowering blood pressure and those kind of things. So enjoy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dave Apsley. I'm a forester and a natural resources specialist with Ohio State University Extension. Today I'm joining you from the village of Colton, Ohio, which is the birthplace of Governor James A. Rhodes. Many of you may not be familiar with this little village, but it is located in Jackson County between Jackson and Wellston. I'm in an old cemetery that's up on the ridge, and cemeteries are almost like arboretums sometimes. They're a great place to learn your trees because you oftentimes have foliage down close to the ground, and a lot of times you've got a lot of variety. One thing I've noticed over the years, a lot of cemeteries have a lot of conifers, a lot of, and I'm using air quotes, cedars. There are lots of these species around because they have green foliage and they show some signs of life even in the winter months. This is one species. It's actually called northern white cedar, or another common name is arbor vitae. Arbor translates to tree and vitae means life. So it's a tree of life. It actually had some medicinal characteristics and provided vitamin C and played a big role in helping folks with their nutrition and prevented scurvy is one of the things they said that this plant was used for. But it is native to Ohio. It's not very widespread. It's more probably northern and scattered throughout the state. Where I first learned it, I was in forestry camp up in northern Wisconsin, and you would have these huge low-lying areas called cedar swamps, and they were dominated by northern white cedar or arborvitae, and the deer used those areas for thermal cover in extreme cold winter periods. They would actually yard in these cedar swamps, and that's where they overwintered to get out of that extreme cold. But in Ohio, you typically find them in small patches in wetland or swampy areas, and typically in areas that have more of a calcareous or limestone substrate, the rock base under there. So again, it's northern white cedar, scattered mostly in the western part of the state and planted fairly widely in old cemeteries and in the landscape. One thing you'll also notice, you'll rarely find foliage much lower than this on an arborvitae, and that's because it's deer candy. It's actually one of the favorite food sources or browse sources of deer when they have that option. And you'll find these trees oftentimes in a landscape where they look like mushrooms because the deer browse them so tightly as high as they can reach, and then they spread out like a mushroom as you get higher up. So how do we identify arborvitae? Well, arborvitae looks like a lot of those trees that we call cedars, but it's actually not a true cedar. It's called a white, and it's got a hyphen in the common name, which means it's not a true cedar. But what it does have is scale-like foliage, flattened, kind of like eastern red cedar, but they're a little bit broader. Ridges, or the branches or branchlets are broader. They tend to be flattened, and you have 4 rows of these scales that run down the length of the foliage. And the foliage is relatively flattened, so if you lay it on your hand, it lays nice and flat on your hand. A little darker green and more lustrous, kind of shiny on the upper sides. If you flip them over, they have more of a lime green color to them. And again, that's arborvitae's foliage. As far as cones, they're nothing like eastern red cedar. Remember, eastern red cedar has the bluish berry with the white coating on it, and that's what they make gin out of. The Atlantic white cedar, which you're going to find closer to the Atlantic Ocean, has little soccer ball looking cones, but these cones have 8 to 10 scales. They can be up to about a ½ inch in length. They tend to be clustered up on the tips of the branches, and they're more upright on the twig. So again, small cones, 8 to 10 scales. They're rounded, there's no spines or prickles, and they tend to be more upright. Another characteristic is the stringy shredded bark. It's either tan or very light colored, and as it gets older, it may begin to peel off. And then finally, just the form of this tree. A lot of times it's pretty columnar. It'll be nice and columnar in shape. Sometimes it gets a little broader, but it is commonly planted in our landscapes. You'll often find them in old cemeteries. And again, it's northern white cedar. Thanks, everybody. Please take at least part of your day to enjoy this nice spring day in the woods.
Hello, this is Richard Purdin with OSU Extension for Adams County. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Educator for Adams County. And today, I'm top dressing a little bit of wheat. So what is top dressing wheat? You might see farmers this time of year with a fertilizer buggy like this, spreading fertilizer on top of their wheat. In most cases, they're spreading nitrogen. In this case, I'm spreading dry granular urea. So urea is a form of nitrogen and a fertilizer analysis of 4600. That means I'm putting on, for every 100 pounds of dry granular fertilizer I put on, I'm putting on 46 pounds of actual units of nitrogen for every 100 pounds. This morning I'm putting on 200 pounds per acre. So that would be equivalent to 92 pounds of actual nitrogen on the soil. This is broadcast on top of the surface of the soil, and hopefully the goal is to have some rain here in the next 2 days, a gentle rain, hopefully. That way the urea will soak down into the soil, and that way the wheat can take it up slowly as it continues to break its dormancy out of the winter dormancy. This is the first full week of March 10th. So we are a little early. In normal years, this would be an early season or early time of year to be putting on nitrogen, but with the warm weather we've had and the dry weather, and ground conditions are very dry, or at least good condition, not dry per se, but in good condition, not too dry, not too wet. So now we're not causing compaction problems, and we're not going to cause injury to that wheat when we drive over it when the soil is too wet. So right now, as you can see, these are actually spelts, but I do have some wheat too. But as you can see, the spelts are actually breaking dormancy and starting to green up. These were planted the first week of October. So here for long, we will be beginning to shoot up, and that way, if we can get a jump on it today, we'll get this wheat off to a good start, or these spelts off to a good start, and hopefully get some good grain or even forage, which in most cases I'm going to take this off for forage, but many producers take the winter wheat or the spelts or the other rye, other small grains off. Barley's another one for grain to sell at the local market. So here we are, March 10th again, and hopefully everybody has a great day. And if you have questions about winter wheat or any kind of small grains, don't hesitate to call. Give me a call at 937-544-2339. Everybody have a great day and enjoy this lovely weather.